Hello, my beautiful light beings. Welcome back to the Magic Exists podcast with Dani Margot. I am a Reiki master and teacher, Akashic Records master and teacher, galactic and cosmic frequency channel, and ultimately a lover of life. It is 8 days until my wedding, and I am just floored and so excited. And I just want to have a quick note about just gratitude for everyone who's like sticking around and listening, even though I haven't edited any podcast in a couple weeks. I have 4 amazing hosts, like seriously amazing guests that are coming through that have already recorded with me, and I just haven't had a chance to edit yet. And so I'm super grateful for everyone who has been really patient with this. But last night, for some reason, I think I probably slept an hour or two. It's as I'm recording this, it's 6:22 in the morning. I would have recorded this at 5 a.m., but my fiance was still sleeping. So I proceeded to do Qigong and some stretches and Akashic meditations in the meantime. So yes, I am still in my pajamas if you are watching the video of this, but I around 3:45 in the morning, this download came through of this podcast so strong. And so I'm honoring that and just hoping it's still fresh, even though it's almost 3 hours after when the download came through. And I don't have insomnia. I used to sleep really good at the beach, just with the window open, hearing the ocean. We lived a block from the ocean. It was so beautiful. Now being in Glendale, my circadian rhythm has definitely shifted and changed, and I don't sleep as well, but I still sleep pretty well. I used to have insomnia, when I was younger in my 20s, and definitely related to my nervous system regulation and being in fight or flight or having high cortisol. So ever since I reprogrammed my subconscious mind in 2023, I sleep like a baby. And so for me to not sleep like that tonight, was really indicative of several things. And so instead of being like frustrated or annoyed or judging the the lack of sleep that I received, or even trying to force it at 3 a.m. I just got up and I was like, well, there's a lesson here, and that's what I've chosen to see every experience as, really, as a lesson. And so, what is that? What do I need to learn from this experience? And I have been really sleeping late, like 11 instead of 10, and sleeping in like at 8. 8:30 instead of 7. So I really am just using this as an opportunity. Maybe I need a fresh circadian rhythm start. And so I just took this as an opportunity. Maybe a podcast wants to be birthed from me. Maybe I need some more time to meditate and exercise in the morning. And so I took that as an opportunity to do that instead of being frustrated. And the first thing that wants to come through today is this idea of false light in love. And if you've been watching my Instagram, this ties into kind of like entities and beings. And I've been really cautious about not talking about this really in my podcast the last year and a half since I've had it. And I think it was just waiting for the right opportune moment for it to come through. And so I honestly don't know what false light in love is. I mean, I didn't know until I looked it up on Google and ChatGPT. And right away I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so positive and I'm so light. Am I false light in love? Like, what is it? Like, what is this false light? Like, and I think, yeah, I know for certain I am not. And whoever follows this and watches my story, I'm sure resonates with the part of me that has been vulnerable, gone through the shadows, and reprogrammed my subconscious mind. So I'm going to do a clear definition of what that means to me and how I was able to move through it, and how, as a spiritual entrepreneur, a leader, a light worker, or just someone curious about the spiritual world, how to be in the true divine God conscious love and light, and not in the false love and light. This isn't something that is really in my awareness, or I have like conscious awareness of. It's just, it was brought to my attention by an Akashic student of mine. And so I was just curious about it. And I was like, I feel like this is something that maybe needs to be spoken about. And so when I looked up false love and light, it is someone who does not feel their emotions, that bypasses their experience, maybe doesn't search for the lesson of the experience they're having in their human life, and just really only focusing on the light and shifting the perspective to the light, 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 instead of transmuting and accepting the part of them that is shadow and utilizing that part of them for expansion or growth, which is the point of our soul's reincarnation, right? Which is growth and expansion and evolution, and just to know itself more in the polarity of what it is to be in this third dimensional human space. And so for me, if you've been listening to this podcast, you know my experience. And so just to kind of put it in words that can support you in moving through this space as well, is really leaning into the courage that you have within you and the strength to look at the parts of you that you aren't happy with, or that you might judge, or that you are annoyed with, and using the world as a mirror for your inner reality. And so, as relational beings, if you do use the external world as a mirror for your internal expansion and healing, this is how I personally move through the world and quantum leap and heal and bring more peace and clarity into my life. And so what that looks like is, if someone says something that hurts my feelings, or I'm triggered by, or there's a level of discomfort in my life that comes into my awareness, instead of just ignoring it or avoiding it or just thinking that's part of human life, I use that as an invitation to seek the deeper lesson and the deeper invitation of what that is, or what the root cause of what that discomfort is or that hurt is, and really sit with that version of me that feels that way. And so this can be anything from, like, I posted something on TikTok about connecting to the archangels, and someone said something like, "Oh, yeah, great for giving away your power. I love giving my power away to archangels and other spirit guides." And I was like, "Oh my goodness." So, and just a precursor on that, like, I think asking support from the divine realms it's like asking for support from source, which are aspects of you, because source is within you. And so I think there is definitely an intention you have to place when you are seeking support, and it's not giving away your power, or at least in my personal opinion. And so obviously this part of me, this triggered me, because I was like, let me feel into why I am being triggered by this person saying that I'm giving away my power, because that was not my intention. So I sat with that energy of, like, first I was like, oh my goodness, am I? Which I think is a beautiful response to any, thing that you're moving through, because you want to just, it's a level of vulnerability, I think, that I take. But it's also, don't let someone else take your power, right? It's about building that trust and that confidence within yourself that, no, I'm in my power. And I don't agree with what that person said on TikTok. And because I know I'm so intentional, and I truly believe I am so empowered in my power and my connection to source and God and universe. And so utilizing these energies of the archangels or dragons or spirit guides, or whoever, you are utilizing, I think it helps support the aspect of you that you are trying to embody and work through and experience and love. And so I sat with that energy, and I sat with all the thoughts that were coming through, which of course one, right, was disbelief in myself, distrust, until I sat with it deeper and understood why even posted that, and why I want to connect with the angels and the dragons and all these other aspects of the universe, and how I want to utilize it. And so it really helped me explore the vastness of this topic, and explore the vastness of my emotions and energy and thoughts within that moment. And then I took it a step further, and I sat in the Akashic Records, and I was like, what is the lesson that I meant to learn here? And I really felt like it was that there's going to be a lot of people who don't agree with me, and a lot of people who don't believe in what I believe in. But I think if you do it from a place of love, and really, really a place of exploration in which I was doing it, not just taking what they said and you're wrong and I'm right. I really sat with it, and I took space to sit with it, and I explored their point of view, and was like, no, that doesn't really resonate. I don't think I'm giving away my power. And then I sat with my intention with it. And I was like, yeah, that still really resonates with me. And then I connected to God, consciousness, universe, source, the spiritual realm, the Akashic realm, the multidimensional realm. And I sat with that energy, and that really resonated with me. And I stood by firmly with what I spoke within the Akashic records. And so going through the depths, that is what I am meaning by going to the depths of your shadow, of not only of your perceptions of this reality, the things that are hurting you, or the vulnerability and the things that you're moving through, whether it be a fight with your friend or tribulations of starting your business, or the indecision you are of leaving a job, sitting with all those energies and really giving spaciousness to those decisions, and ultimately knowing that the divine guidance that you are leading with will give you the correct path, that sometimes you don't even need to make a decision. And this is a really big point I want to come across or give you or invite you to move into, which is sometimes you don't have to make a decision in your life. If you just continue to follow the divine path, oftentimes the universe will make the decision for you and kind of like show you the path in which is for your highest good and highest alignment. And that doesn't mean it's not going to be easy to, make it or decide and choose to leave your job. um, let's say you get fired or they give you a pay cut or something. This is like these signs, right? That, okay, I got to trust that this is the right path. And the other job that I just got a contract for, or the sign to start my own business, is now, and I will see that as so, and I will move and make that decision accordingly. And so I think it's a really beautiful space to be in when you can look at life in that perspective. And so I already lost my train of thought. So I don't try to be the spiritual leader that has everything figured out. I am figuring things out as I go, but I have already instilled that trust and confidence within myself that I can navigate the world. And so using discernment is going to be one of the most powerful tools that you can insource or find within yourself to navigate the spiritual space or the world in general, and discern really what you believe in and how you want to move through the world, which for me is more heart-led than in the mind. Before I went through my spiritual awakening, I had a very low level of consciousness. I would literally stand in the middle of the store with my shopping cart and have no awareness of anyone going around me, and just standing there on my phone or looking at the shelves at the grocery store, and people would have to be like, "Excuse me," and yeah, I had very little level of consciousness of spatial awareness and collective awareness. It was very much about me. And I had a lot of anxiety because my thoughts were racing at a million thoughts per minute. And I don't know if you know this. I've actually never spoken about this, but I have sweaty hands. This is like a thing. This is a fight or flight anxiety thing, and I've had this since I was a kid. And so whenever I'm anxious or nervous, even if I just think about my sweaty hands, it comes. And so when, like, if you're going on an interview and like you shake someone's hand and they're like so sweaty, you're like, ew, or oh my goodness, that used to be me. And it's interesting because now that I have a regulated nervous system, which I really invite all of you to do, like, if you don't have a regulated nervous system and you are in fight or flight and you don't think you are safe, and this is a subconscious level, right? You obviously think you're safe. You're navigating from that space of conditioning that you think you're safe. But if you are anxious or overwhelmed or or nervous, often that means your nervous system is not regulated. And you can do this through breath work, reprogramming the subconscious mind, connecting to the Akashic records. And if you're wanting any of this, I think long term is really, really powerful. I did this for a year straight, and that is how I've been able to insource this calm and peace and harmony and enlightenment in my heart. All that to say, I have coaching containers that coming out in January that are 6 months long, and I think they are going to be just the most magical and divine things. But ever since then, since I did that work, and I've been continually doing that work in different degrees, right? First, I did that in the somatic level, in the mind, mental, emotional bodies, and then in the Akashic records, I did that in the beyond the astral realm, in the spiritual realm, and then in past lives, I did that in the causal body, and now I'm doing it in a multidimensional way where it is physical, it is etheric, emotional, mental, astral, causal, and spiritual, which, if you're wondering, this is like, I use the astral body to heal. And those are the 7 layers of the astral body. But my hands don't get sweaty as often anymore because of my regulated nervous system. I don't have insomnia anymore. I don't really get motion sickness anymore. I don't have a lot of thoughts in my mind anymore. I am very much in my body, in my heart. And so I'm super grateful for the work I've done. And it's really beautiful. But if I know a lot of my listeners are people who are spiritually curious or have found me because I am an expander for them because they want to start their own business, they want to leave their job, or they want to just do something different, maybe find more love in a relationship. And they're a little scared, but they're a little excited. And it's all about trusting your breadcrumbs of intuition and really understanding your cosmic soul language. And I think this is so important because these are the clairs, right? This is how you communicate to the unseen world, the divine world, God consciousness. And I do really have gratitude for the Catholic Church. I am born and raised Catholic and no longer resonate with, the dogmatic religion and the structure that it is, but have really been able to take a lot of aspects from the church, which, for example, prayer and connecting to God. And I think that is one thing that really helped open my spiritual gifts. And this is something I teach in the Akashic Records, where it's opening your gifts and your channel and your cosmic specific soul language based on karma that you have worked on for lifetimes. And so if you have a specific clair, for example, clairvoyance, which is sight, you can see images, your guides give you messages through images. And so typically you have worked on this language, this channel through lifetimes. And so that's why it might be the strongest for you in this lifetime. But really understanding your cosmic soul language is not about just using one channel. We have so many channels, and the strongest ones that we talk about, right, are the 4: claircognizance, clairvoyance, clairsentience, and audience. I think I said all of them, but and so it's really using them together, weaving them together, and understanding how your channel works specifically. And I had an Akashic student really want clairvoyance, and it was so beautiful because she's very, very strong in claircognizance, which is actually, honestly, I think the strongest one, but sometimes the one that's overlooked the most because we don't have the trust and confidence to believe in what we feel or know or just have in our gut response. And so she began to get images, and she began to activate that within the container. And then she was like, oh my goodness, I don't know what the images mean though. And she's like, I have to go back to my claircognizance. And then now she's been able to develop, that way of like, this is the image I'm seeing. This is what it means. And then, for me, sometimes I'm like, okay, like, tell me, let me hear it or verbalize it or write it down so I can see it. And so it's really navigating what your specific cosmic soul language is in order to interpret the messages from your spirit guides, the divine source, God, etc. And so I will say entrepreneurship is the most powerful way to, I think, open your trust, confidence, willpower, and all the things, and really be the best version of yourself, because it is so scary and it is not taught to you, unless I guess you're like a business major in college or something, which I was not. I started out in biology and then I did physics and then I ended up in social ecology. So entrepreneurship, it is been 2 years and 4 months since I created my LLC and 3 years since I started giving readings. And I will say entrepreneurship is one of the most lonely journeys that I have ever experienced. Others will not understand your path, especially if you're in the spiritual realm. They will not understand what it is to be psychic or intuitive, or what the Akashic records are, or if you see your grandma who has passed and you start talking to them in the living room and you are getting downloads of how to navigate life. People will not understand. That's already one level of, uncomfortableness that I think the world is becoming ready for, but maybe not everyone. And then they won't understand that you want to leave a really cushy 9 to 5 where you're making really good money for something that you're making no money and that you have to generate your own business and you have to be the marketing director, the IT, the creator, the CEO, the CFO. And so you're learning all these new aspects of yourself, that you can be all these versions of you, but also at the same time decondition the parts of you that feels like you're not good enough to do that. You're too scared to be seen and show up in the world, or you don't have anything to offer the world, or you aren't supported by the universe. And so it's a lot of deconditioning these narratives, these beliefs, to really step into your full power and be seen in a way that is authentic to you and vulnerable to you. And that is the place in which I speak from and I navigate from. It's this deep vulnerability that has become my new norm. And I do think it is uncomfortable for a lot of people in my life, because I try to use discernment when it comes to talking about people and relationships in my life, especially my partner, because I want to respect their boundaries. But at the same time, it is my story, and trying to navigate telling it from that place, because I am an open book. And like I said, I don't try to be a spiritual leader that has it all figured out, but I try to figure it out with you. And I'm trying to navigate how to portray that in a way that is going to inspire more and expand more and reach more people. Uh, Podcasts were the single most way that I expanded my reality and began to integrate and embody new words, new ways of being, new narratives, new perspectives into my reality. And like, for example, creating your own reality, I think that took me like 3 years to actually understand what that meant. And if you guys are listening to seeing my YouTube, I have on this is like my alarms, little sayings. And so things that I'm working through that I really want to embody and integrate, which I'm having a podcast episode all about integration and embodiment in December, which I think a lot of people, it just means about becoming. It's becoming who you want to be. And there's so many tools and steps to get there. Like, for example, having reminders of who you want to be, like this, right? Where I'm rewriting the norm, creating my own reality. That one still really resonates with me. And I thought of that one in 2019. Like, I can rewrite my norm and create my own reality. What? And even now I'm like, I think that's still barely integrated into my system. And then some things integrate, like the Akashic Records, within 3 years, and now I'm teaching it. So it's really about understanding that not everything's going to integrate right now, but maybe in a decade. And that's okay. And I think time is something that us humans need to really, really surrender into and have patience with, because that is the life lesson of the 3D. And if you are not in surrender mode of time, then I think that is where you need to start. Another one that I have here, I just want to show you, who is the universe asking me to become? And I have that here, as well as living the life of my dreams. So those are little things that I just got a little text from my fiance. Let me know if you want to go on a little walk. So sweet. In terms of this year, so 8 days until my marriage of a wife, and there's so much I want to say about this, and I've been wanting to do a podcast episode with my best friend Chelsea, who's getting married 2.5 weeks later. But because of us getting married, we haven't had as much time. And so I'm hoping to have that eventually. But I do want to talk about this year of a year 9 cycle. We are in a collective year 9. And so you've likely been feeling the chaos, the hardship of humanity, the desensitization of the aggression, and the polarity of the collective. And so just imagine feeling that with whatever numerological personal year you are in. But me, I'm also in a personal year 9. And so imagine what those energies that you're feeling in the collective. And then now I am also feeling that in my personal life. And so I'm honestly tired. I'm so tired. I'm ready for next year. And I think what I'm tired of is the transmuting. There's been a lot of cycles closing out this year for me. A lot of cycles of maybe feeling alone, feeling isolated from community. A lot of cycles of being in my ego, of judging others for not doing the work, and really being in acceptance of others and self and who people are, and accepting people's love languages that are different from mine, and accepting my life, and really surrendering to where I'm at right now in my business, financially, um, where I live, my relationships, and just everything. And like I said in the beginning, sitting with every cycle and discomfort, understanding what the lesson is, and transmuting it into the love and light that we were talking about, right? Into a lesson for expansion and growth, and utilizing that energy to persevere in this journey and quantum leap. And so I'm tired of transmuting, and I'm tired of the cycles that have been coming up, and I'm just done, and I'm choosing now to be in this place of unconditional love, and coming from a place of compassion. And I'm just tired. And so I'm excited for next year. That's why I think I'm just really excited to be in this marriage portal and ready for year one next year to really come out with fire and and really, really step into this new next year cycle of who I am as a spiritual mentor, leader, sage, soul activator, and all the beautiful things. Okay, so last thing I want to talk about today are entities and beings. And this is something that I've been sharing with you guys this year, this summer at least. And people in my Akashic container know a little bit about what's been going on, but I do believe entities and beings exist. I do believe there are negative energies out there, but I don't think it's in the way that we believe, where there's a polarity of there's like negative and positive. I believe that there is a service to self and service to others. So if you want to think about it, it's like selfish and selfless. And when you're heart led and connected to God consciousness and your high heart unity consciousness, you understand that the point of life is to be selfless, to be service to others, for the collective, for the highest good. That's why every time I say a prayer or an intention, this or something better for the collective or for the highest good of the collective, because it's not about me. Yes, I want financial abundance and success in my business and more love in my life, but this or something better for the collective, because I know that whatever experience or lesson that I'm learning, I might not understand it in the moment, but I know it's going to make me a better person and help my soul evolve into who I'm meant to be. And so these negative entities or beings, I choose to understand and see them as energies or misalignments that are attracted to us, that are of lower density than we are, that are actually trying to support us or show us a lesson of what we are meant to work through. And sometimes they are manifestations of our own narratives that we create. Sometimes they are animals, beings, scary freaking things. But the point of that all is to be empowered, that we know that we have the power to release anything that is not of our highest good from our field. And we have the power, just as we did to attract it, to release it and to find out what the lesson was and what it was trying to do to support us, even if it was misaligned. And so I had my first entity came from when I gave a reading. And this is why I think spiritual cleansing and protection is so powerful. And I have a free course on Instagram under my freebies, and on YouTube. It's like an hour-long course of protections that I made a couple years ago. Go check it out if you really want to protect. And it is just with practice, creating your energetic boundaries. I use a Reiki bubble, and I cleanse my chakras every day. I call in Archangel Michael for protection and support, and the Divine Mothers and the Elemental Dragons to continue to cleanse me. And so all the things, use what you want, sage, Palo Santo. And so I did a reading, and I saw this like spider being on this person's crown, and it was very in the beginning of my journey. I feel like within the first 3 to 6 months of doing readings, it was definitely a free reading. And I didn't tell the client what it was. Now in readings, I definitely ask permission. I definitely walk them through the healing because there's a deeper lesson there for them. But I was just like, oh, I have this power. Let me just clear it for them. And so I definitely did not protect correctly. And after the reading, I had a reading the 30 minutes after, my head just kept hitting the table, and it just kept falling, and it was so heavy, and I felt so tired. And so I texted my best friend, and I was like, can you check my crown? I think there's this entity on there. And so I went to bed, slept for 3 hours. When I woke up, I got a text from her. She's like, oh my goodness, it was this like black spider with like big white eyes or yellow eyes with a red mouth, which is exactly what I saw. And she removed it from me and I felt so much better. And I was like, whoa, there's a lesson here. And I think for me, that was about protection. And so if you saw my Instagram post this week, I had another entity on me, and one of my Akashic students, Jess, and longtime friend, removed it from me, and she saw that it was like a mirror. There was a portal that I had opened, which honestly I think I got from Sedona at my bachelorette. And I'm still uncovering myself what the subconscious reasons of attracting it, but I was definitely drinking a lot at my bachelorette. I think it really was closing of an old version of me, or a portal of like drinking. In my 20s, I would drink, literally take shots to be obliterated and to get wasted. Like that was the point. And which is wild now to think that that was a version of me when I, reminding you guys of that version of me, that level of consciousness of literally drinking like that and being in the middle of a grocery store, not even moving my cart, and honoring that version of me, right? Loving that version of me. But I think there was some closing out of that version of me at my bachelorette. And so really part of that, as well as like deconditioning and reconditioning and reprogramming that I love and approve of myself, and that life supports and loves me. And I think that was like the underlying root of what that was. And as you know, I was in a car accident in 2013, and for 7 years I had chronic back pain, severe back pain. Anyone who's had chronic back pain, it is not fun, and it rules your life. And when you are in that pain, you can't think of anything but trying to heal, and you can't think of anything else. You can't think of your purpose. You can't think of aspiring for goals, because all you want to do is heal and feel better. And so I'm moving into my medical intuition era and journey. I do also trust and believe that this is interwoven to trust and know that I can heal myself, but also know that I can receive from other healers around me. And so anyways, she saw this entity as like this really freaking scary thing. And she said that it was like this being, and that she got anxiety, and she immediately started doing light language, and that it turned into a little girl who was scared. And then she banished it into a different dimension, because energies cannot be destroyed, right, or created. It can only be transmuted or moved or teleported. And so you just move it into a different dimension that is not connected to you. And she used light language to do that. And immediately after, I felt relief. And so my point of all this is, in my Akashic level 2 divine deepening, I teach you to go into the underworld to remove the entities, but you can also do it with light language. You can also do it going into the quantum realm. I have an amazing podcast with Rita where we talk about it. She goes into this like liminal space where they can't find you. And so there's so many techniques, but ultimately it's having compassion for this thing and understanding it is not this scary thing. It's just, it's an aspect of you. If we understand it, like we are all one, we are all source. And so what is this being doing to serve us? And what is it really that we are meant to learn and grow from this experience? And so I'm going to leave it with that, with the entities, but just know anyone can heal it. You can heal it. And that's the point of this podcast, to empower you. And if you don't know how, go to a healer like me or someone else who can support you in walking through it, so that in the future you can do it yourself. All right, let's see if there's any last messages that want to come through. You are so powerful. You are worthy. You are enough. You are the manifestation of God reincarnated. You are the manifestation of abundance. You are endless potential in existence. You are connected to the fabric of all existence, and you are amazing. And anything that you truly want in your life, that you have a little curiosity about, it's yours. It's meant for you. And you don't have to know the last step. All you need to know is the next intelligent step, because that is what's going to lead you to the next step. And that's the point of life. It's not knowing all the answers yet already, because then what's the point of life if you know everything? It's about uncovering it. And it's about who you are through the process and who you want to be. So I ask you this. If you don't know that, journal it. Who are you, and who do you want to be? And who does the universe want you to be? So I'm sending you all the love. And also, if you do really enjoy this podcast, I would really appreciate feedback in like a review. Honestly, obviously 5 stars is going to support me, but just to get more visibility and spread this unconditional love of God consciousness, which is really my intention through all of this. I'm so grateful for every single one of you. Every single one of my clients is a niche client and really, really expands me in a way and inspires me that I am just left in awe. I am meant to respond to the universe. So anything that you send me always helps my soul expansion, but also helps me respond and know what content to give you guys and provide for you. So anyways, until next time, I love you so much.